Follow God's lead. Guide my day. A peaceful morning prayer. Every morning brings a fresh chance to face the day, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed by what's ahead. But here's the thing. You don't have to figure it all out alone. There's someone greater who's already paving the way for you. Someone who knows every step before you even take it. Imagine waking up and not stressing about what could go wrong. Instead, picture handing over the reins to a guide who's always one step ahead. That's what it's like when you let God lead. He's not just with you, he's out in front, clearing the path. Life can throw curveballs, no doubt about it. Sometimes it feels like you're walking blind, unsure of where the next turn is. But when you trust that God's ahead, it's like having a light in the dark. You don't need to see everything, just enough to take the next step. Think about how much energy you spend worrying. What if you could trade that for peace? Letting Him lead doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you move forward with confidence, knowing the direction's already set. He's not some distant figure watching from above. God's right there ahead of you, working things out in ways you might not even notice yet. That problem you're facing, He's already on it. That dream you're chasing, He's lining things up. It's like having the ultimate planner in your corner. You don't have to stress about the details because He's got them covered. Your job is simpler. Trust the process and keep walking. He's not going to let you stumble into something He hasn't prepared. Starting your day with this mindset changes everything. You're not just waking up to chaos, you're waking up to purpose. A little prayer, a quiet moment to say, "Lead me," can shift your whole perspective. Ever notice how things seem to fall into place when you stop forcing them? That's not luck. That's what happens when you let go and let God take the front seat. He's better at steering anyway. He's been doing it forever. You don't have to carry yesterday's weight into today. Whatever happened, whatever's coming, He's already ahead of it. He's not surprised by your struggles or your wins. He's got a handle on both. So, as you kick off your morning, take a deep breath. Picture Him out there leading the charge. You're not alone in this, not even for a second. He's ahead, and He's got you covered. This is just the beginning of the journey we're building here. Let Him lead and watch how the day unfolds differently. Now that you've got this image of God ahead of you, think about what that really means for your morning. It's not just a nice thought. It's a game changer. You're not stumbling into the day unprepared. You're following a leader who's already mapped it out. Picture yourself getting out of bed with a lighter heart. Maybe you've got a big meeting or a tough conversation ahead. Instead of letting it weigh you down, you can whisper to yourself, "He's got this." It's like having an anchor in the storm. The beauty of this is how simple it can be. You don't need fancy words or hours of quiet time. Just a quick moment to say, "God, you're in front. Show me the way." That's enough to shift your focus from chaos to calm. Life's full of choices, right? Some small, some huge. When you let Him lead, it's like having a compass. You might not know the whole route, but you've got a sense of direction. That gut feeling you get sometimes? That could be Him nudging you. And here's the cool part. He's not just leading you away from trouble. He's guiding you towards something good. That opportunity you've been hoping for, that moment of joy you didn't expect, He's setting it up step by step. Ever feel stuck like you're spinning your wheels? When you trust He's ahead, it's easier to let go of that frustration. Maybe the delay's there for a reason. Maybe He's working on something you can't see yet. You don't have to be perfect for this to work. God's not waiting for you to have it all together. He's ahead of you, flaws and all, ready to guide you through whatever mess you're in. That's grace in action. Think about the people around you, family, friends, co-workers. When you're following His lead, it's not just your day that changes. You start showing up differently, with more patience, more hope. They'll feel it too. It's like walking a path someone's already cleared. The branches are pushed back, the rocks are moved. You're not hacking through a jungle. You're just keeping pace with the one who's done the hard part. So, as the morning rolls on, keep that picture in your mind. He's not behind you pushing, He's not beside you guessing. He's ahead, leading with a steady hand. All you've got to do is follow. This trust thing, it's not a one-time deal. It's a habit you build a little more each day, and the more you lean into it, the easier it gets to spot his hand in your life. That's where we're heading next, seeing how this plays out as your day unfolds. As your morning turns into the rest of the day, this idea of God being ahead starts to feel more real. You're not just hoping he's there, you're starting to see it. Those little moments, like a problem solving itself, aren't random anymore. Take a second to think about what's on your plate today. Maybe it's a task you've been dreading or a decision you're wrestling with. Knowing he's out front doesn't erase the challenge, but it sure makes it less scary. You've got backup. Sometimes it's the unexpected stuff that trips you up. A flat tire, a last-minute change. But here's the thing, he's not caught off guard. He's already ahead, tweaking the plan so you land on your feet. You might not always feel him leading, and that's okay. Faith isn't about constant fireworks. It's about trusting he's there even when it's quiet. Like a guide who doesn't need to shout, just keeps moving forward. Ever notice how some days flow better than others? When you're tuned in, letting him lead, it's like the pieces click together. That phone call comes at just the right time, or you find the energy you didn't know you had. He's not just handling the big stuff either. The small wins, like finding a parking spot or a kind word from someone, those are his fingerprints too. He's ahead, weaving it all into your day. And when things don't go your way, that's where trust kicks in harder. Maybe the no you got today is steering you toward a better yes tomorrow. He's playing the long game, and he's good at it. You don't have to overthink this. Letting him lead isn't about figuring out every detail. It's about loosening your grip and saying, okay, you take the wheel. He's got a better view from up there anyway. As the hours pass, keep an eye out. Those moments of peace, those flashes of clarity, they're signs he's ahead, doing his thing. You're not forcing it, you're following it. This isn't about being super spiritual all the time. It's practical. It's a way to live lighter, freer, knowing someone's got your back, or rather, your front. You just keep walking. By the time afternoon hits, you might start feeling the difference. Less stress, more purpose. That's what happens when you let the one who knows the way take the lead. We're rolling into how this shapes the rest of your day next. By now, you're moving through your day with this quiet confidence. It's not that everything's perfect. Life's still life. But there's a steady undercurrent. You're not the one trying to hold it all together anymore. Think about those moments when you're tempted to take control. You know, when you want to fix everything yourself? Letting God stay ahead means resisting that urge. It's tough at first, but it gets easier. Afternoon rolls around, and maybe you hit a snag. Something doesn't go as planned. Instead of spiraling, you pause. He's ahead, you remind yourself. This isn't the end of the road, it's just a detour he's already on. You start noticing how this trust spills over. Maybe you're less snappy with someone who's testing your patience. Or you find yourself smiling at a stranger. That's the ripple effect of following his lead. He's not just guiding your schedule, he's shaping your heart. The more you let him take the front, the more you feel that peace seeping in. It's not loud or flashy, it's steady, like a heartbeat. Ever had one of those days where you look back and think, how did I get through that? That's him working ahead, lining things up so you don't crash. You didn't see it coming, but he did. And here's a cool thought. He's not just leading you through today, he's got tomorrow in his sights too. That worry you're carrying about next week, he's already there, sorting it out. You don't need to chase every answer. Sometimes he leads by keeping you still, waiting, listening. It's not always about charging ahead, it's about moving at his pace, whatever that looks like. As the day wears on, you might feel tired, but it's a different kind of tired. Not the frantic, burned-out kind. More like the, I did my part, and trusted the rest kind. That's his leadership at work. Even the mundane stuff like chores or emails feels lighter when you know he's ahead. It's not meaningless, it's part of the path he's carving out. Every step counts with him in front. So as the sun starts dipping lower, you're not just surviving the day, you're living it, guided by someone who's got the whole picture. It's a relief, isn't it? We're heading into how this wraps up your day next. As the afternoon fades into evening, This sense of God being ahead starts to settle in deeper. You've made it through hours of ups and downs, and somehow, you're still standing. That's not just luck, that's Him. Maybe you're wrapping up work or winding down at home. The day's not over, but you can feel a shift. Letting Him lead doesn't stop when the clock hits a certain time. It's a thread that runs all the way through. Think about those lingering worries that like to creep in at night. Instead of letting them take over, you can hand them off. He's ahead, already walking into tomorrow while you're still here in today. You might catch yourself reflecting on what went right. That conversation that worked out. That task you finished. Those weren't accidents. His hand was in it, guiding you even when you didn't notice. Evenings can feel heavy sometimes, especially if the day was rough. But with Him out front, there's a lightness you can lean into. The weight's not all on you, He's carrying the bigger share. It's funny how the little things stand out now. A sunset, a laugh with someone you love. Those moments feel richer when you know He's leading. He's not just about the big wins, He's in the quiet joys too. You don't have to end the day stressed about what's next. He's already ahead, setting the stage for whatever comes. That meeting tomorrow, that bill you're not sure about, He's on it. This isn't about pretending everything's perfect. Some days are messy, and that's real. But knowing He's ahead means the mess doesn't get the final say. He does. And He's not done yet. As you slow down, maybe you take a minute to breathe, to pray. It doesn't have to be long. Just a, thanks for leading me today. It's like checking in with the one who's been out front all along. You start to see how this changes your nights too. Sleep comes easier when you're not wrestling with what-ifs. He's ahead, keeping watch. So you don't have to. By now, you're not just getting through the day, you're walking it with purpose. That's what His leadership does. Turns ordinary time into something meaningful, step by step. We'll move into how this builds over time in the next section. Now that you've walked through a day with God ahead, imagine what happens when you keep it going. This isn't just a one-off thing, it's a way of living that starts to sink in. Day after day, it shapes you. You wake up the next morning, and it's not a total reset. That trust you leaned on yesterday, it's still there, like a muscle. You're starting to flex. He's ahead again, ready for round 2. At first, it might feel like a conscious choice, reminding yourself to let Him lead. But over time, it's less effort. It's like breathing. You don't think about it, you just do it. The days don't all look the same, of course. Some are smooth, some are rocky. But with Him out front, there's a steady thread tying them together. You're not bouncing from crisis to crisis anymore. You start spotting patterns. Things that used to throw you off, like a delay or a tough talk, don't hit as hard. His leading turns those moments into chances to trust, not just obstacles to fight. And the peace? It grows. It's not that problems vanish, but they don't own you. Knowing He's ahead means you've got room to breathe, even when life gets tight. People might notice it too. You're calmer, maybe kinder, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because following His lead rubs off on how you show up. It's natural, not forced. You don't have to figure out the future either. He's already ahead, connecting today to tomorrow. That big thing you're waiting on, He's not scrambling to catch up, He's setting the pace. Even the bad days have a different flavor. You trip, you fall, but you don't stay down as long. He's ahead, pulling you forward, not leaving you stuck in the mud. It's like building a house, brick by brick. Each day you let Him lead adds something solid, faith, hope, strength. You're not just surviving, you're growing. Nights start feeling less like an escape and more like a recharge. You rest knowing He's still ahead, working while you sleep. Tomorrow's not a threat, it's the next stretch of the path. This is what it means to live with Him in front. It's not flashy or complicated, just steady, real, and better every day. So, you're a few days into this now, and it's starting to click. Letting God stay ahead isn't just about getting through, it's about building something. Each step with Him adds up, like stacking stones into something solid. You wake up and the worries don't hit as fast. They're still there, sure, but they're not running the show. He's ahead, and that shifts the weight off your shoulders little by little. Think about how you handle tough stuff now. Maybe a week ago you'd panic over a setback. Today, you pause instead. His lead gives you that space to think, not just react. It's not that you're suddenly perfect. You still mess up. Everyone does. But with him out front, those slip-ups don't define you. They're just bumps on a road. He's already smoothed out. The small wins feel bigger too. Finishing a task, helping someone out, those moments stack up when you see them as part of his plan. He's leading you through the ordinary into something more. You might even start craving that morning moment, those few seconds to say, "You're ahead, I'll follow." It's not a chore, it's a reset that keeps you grounded as the day unfolds. And the tough days, they're still tough, no sugarcoating that. But they don't break you like they used to. His lead turns storms into stories you'll tell later, proof he was there. Over time, you notice your priorities shifting. Stuff that used to stress you out, like chasing everyone's approval, starts fading. Following him ahead puts the real stuff in focus. You're not just drifting through life anymore. There's direction even when you can't see the whole map. He's ahead, and that's enough to keep you moving, not wandering. Even your downtime changes. You're not just zoning out. You're resting with purpose. Knowing he's leading lets you recharge without guilt, ready for what's next. It's like planting a seed that's finally sprouting. Each day you trust him to lead, something grows. Faith, patience, hope. You're not the same person you were a week ago. This is the slow, steady power of letting him stay ahead. It's not instant, but it's real. Now that you've been at this for a while, something's different about you. It's not loud or obvious at first, but it's there. A quiet strength. That comes from letting God stay ahead. You feel it and others start to see it. You're facing the same old challenges, work, family, whatever, but they don't rattle you like before. His lead gives you a backbone you didn't know you had. You're standing taller even if you don't notice it yet. Take a tense moment like an argument or a deadline. Where you used to snap or shut down, now you breathe through it. That's not just willpower, that's him ahead steadying you. People might even ask what's up. You seem calmer, they say, or how are you handling this so well? You don't have to preach, just smile and keep following the one out front. It's not about being unbreakable, you still feel the sting of a bad day or a letdown. But with him leading, those hits don't knock you out. You bounce back faster, stronger. Even your decisions carry more weight now. You're not second-guessing every move. His guidance ahead cuts through the noise, helping you pick what matters and let go of the rest. You start seeing his lead in the past too. That time you thought you'd never recover. He was ahead, pulling you through. Looking back builds trust for what's coming. The strength isn't just for you either. It spills out. Maybe you're the one lifting someone else up now. His lead turns you into a light, not because you're perfect, but because you're following. Days that used to drain you don't anymore. You've got this reservoir inside, built from trusting him ahead. It's not endless energy. It's rooted resilience, keeping you going. Even the little stuff, like staying patient in traffic, shows it. You're not sweating the small fry because you know who's ahead. That's strength in action, quiet but real. By now, this isn't just a habit, it's who you're becoming. Each day with him leading carves out a tougher, truer version of you. It's not forced, it's forged. We're heading into how this shapes your bigger picture next. With this strength building inside you, your whole view of life starts shifting. Letting God stay ahead doesn't just get you through days, it paints a bigger picture. You're not stuck in the weeds anymore. Think about what used to keep you up at night, money, plans, what people think. Those things still matter, but they don't rule you. His lead lifts your eyes to something beyond the grind. You're starting to see how today connects to tomorrow. It's not random anymore. With him ahead, every moment feels like it's headed somewhere, even if you can't map it out yet. The big stuff, like your dreams or your purpose, doesn't feel so far off. His guidance makes them less daunting. You're not chasing blind, you're following a trail he's already on. Even setbacks look different now. That closed door you hated? Maybe it's not a dead end. He's ahead, and what feels like a loss might just be a turn towards something better. You don't stress as much about controlling everything. Life's still messy, but there's a rhythm to it when he's leading. You're not flailing. You're flowing, trusting the current. And the past? It's not a weight anymore. Those regrets and what-ifs loosen their grip. He was ahead back then too, weaving even the hard stuff into where you are now. Your relationships shift a bit too. You're less about fixing everyone and more about loving them. His lead shows you what lasts, people over perfection, and you live that out. Time feels different. You're not racing the clock or dreading the future. With him ahead, today's enough, and tomorrow's in good hands. It's freedom you didn't expect. You might even dream bigger now. Why not? He's leading, and he's not small time. Those hopes you buried start peeking out because his path feels wide open. It's like stepping back from a painting. Up close, it's just dots and lines. But with him ahead, you see the whole thing coming together. Your life, his plan, all of it. This broader view is where the real shift happens. By now, you've seen what it's like to let God lead, from sunrise to sunset, day after day. It's not just a nice idea anymore, it's a rhythm that's carried you this far. You're living it, and it's real. Every morning's been a fresh chance to trust him ahead. Those early prayers, those quiet moments of surrender, they've built a foundation. You're not just starting your day, you're stepping into his plan. The struggles haven't disappeared, but they've changed shape. With him leading, they're not walls, they're doors. You've walked through them stronger each time because he's out front. Your nights are different too. Sleep's not an escape, it's a rest stop. You close your eyes knowing he's ahead, working while you recharge, readying you for what's next. This isn't about perfection, it's about direction. You've stumbled, sure, but his lead keeps you pointed forward. Every step's been part of a journey you didn't design but get to live. Looking back, you see his hand everywhere. The wins, the losses, the ordinary days, they all fit together because he's been ahead, threading it into something beautiful. And here's the best part. This doesn't end. Tomorrow, next week, next year, he's still leading. You've got a guide who never clocks out, and that's worth waking up for. So if this has clicked for you, why not make it a daily thing? Start your mornings with a simple prayer. God, you're ahead. Lead me. Watch how it changes everything, just like it has so far. Hey, if you've loved this journey, hit that like button below. It tells me you're in and it helps others find this too. Let's keep spreading this piece together. Subscribe if you haven't yet. There's more where this came from. Every video's a chance to dig deeper into living with him ahead. You won't want to miss what's next. Drop a comment and tell me, how's letting God lead worked for you? I rate everyone, and it's awesome to hear your stories. Let's build this community of trust one day at a time. Start tomorrow with him ahead. Say that prayer. Feel that shift. You've got this because he's got you. See you in the next video. Until then, keep following his lead.